Okay, so this is 6.2, Pythagorean theorem. So the Pythagorean theorem works for right-angle triangles and only right-angle triangles, and it is the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. So to write that out, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And what's important is that this value here is always the hypotenuse. So the square of the hypotenuse, so c squared, is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. Now, of course, it's not always written as a triangle of A, B, C. So sometimes it can be in different values. So I have 3 examples here which will help us write it regardless of the letters, because it won't always be A, B, and C. Okay, so for this triangle, what's important here is to remember, is to find out which one is the hypotenuse, because the hypotenuse will always be the one that it's equal to. So here, our hypotenuse is C. So it's going to be c squared is equal to the sum of the other two. So a squared plus our b squared. If we go to this one, our hypotenuse this time is a. So this time it's going to be a squared is equal to the sum of the other two. So in this case, it's a b squared plus a c squared. And this one, our hypotenuse is e. So it's going to be e squared is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two. So a d squared plus an f squared. Okay, so to remember for the Pythagorean theorem, find the hypotenuse first, and that's what the sum of the other two is equal to the sum of the hypotenuse. Okay, some actual examples. So calculate x. I wrote over the numbers here a little bit because I realized that they didn't show up very well. So we have an 8, a 6, and an x. Let's find the hypotenuse first. So in this case, our hypotenuse is the x. So it's going to be x squared is equal to 8 squared plus 6 squared, because it's the square of the other two sides. So x squared is equal to 8 squared is 64, 6 squared is 36. Add them together, so 64 plus 36 is 100. To solve for x, we have to get rid of the squares. So we have to square root it. So x is equal to the square root of 100. X is equal to 10. Okay, the next one. Here, let's find out what the hypotenuse is. In this case, we're given our hypotenuse. It's 17 squared. So that's going to be equal, and then we do the square of the other two. So x squared plus 15 squared. Okay, so what we have to do here is we have to figure out what 17 squared and 15 squared are first. So 17 squared is 289. We don't know what x squared is. 15 squared is 225. And we have to get x by itself. So we have to move this 225 over to the other side. It's being added here, so to move it to the other side, we're going to subtract it. So 289 minus the 225 is equal to our x squared. 289 minus 225 is 64. It's equal to x squared. And we have to take the square root to solve for x. So the square root of 64 is equal to x. The square root of 64 is 8. So x is equal to 8. Okay, the last part of this little note here is angles in a triangle. The sum of the interior angles of a triangle always add to 180 degrees. Always. Regardless if it's a right angle triangle or not, A triangle, the angles should always add up to 180 degrees. So if we want to solve for angle A here, remember that angle A plus angle B plus angle C should all equal 180 degrees. So angle A we're looking for. Angle B here is 90 degrees. Angle C is 30 degrees. So add that up, 90 plus 30 is equal to 120. We have to move it over to the other side, so we're going to subtract it. So 180 minus 120. And angle A is 60 degrees. Okay, same thing for this one. So angle E plus angle F plus angle D should equal to 180. We're looking for angle E. Angle F is 50. Angle D is 70. 50 plus 70 is 120. So it looks like it's going to be the same angle. So 180 minus 120, angle E is also 60 degrees. 60, this one is also 60. So there you go.